Hello everyone, my name is BlueRaven666 and welcome back to the Arcana. I didn't waste any time moving on with the prologue simply because I desperately want to get through it and start getting into the meat of the game. By that I mean the actual character roots. Last time we were introduced to Azra, Nadia, and Julian and received a mysterious invitation to the Countess's palace. In this part, I'm going to be going through the next 2 chapters of the prologue, and because there's a lot to get through in this video, we're just gonna jump right in. I did skip a small scene at the beginning of this chapter. It's not really all that much, it's just a small scene with Azra, and all it does is foreshadow the fact that we're going to have to choose a character after the prologue, and whichever one we choose will determine what type of journey our main character will go on. That's about it. When I wake, dawn light is filtering through the dusty windows. I spend the early hours preparing my things, casting wild shadows on the walls. I'm to meet the Countess at the palace for some unknown purpose. I throw on a travel cloak and hurry outside, dragging the heavy doors shut behind me. After last night's intrusion, I turn the first lock, then the second and third. Almost satisfied, I press my right hand to the door and whisper a cross-me-not spell. White whorls glow deep within the door, slowly fading into the grain. Damn, I wish I had a spell like that. That'd be extremely useful. I'm about to leave when the hair on the nape of my neck rises in alarm. Someone is right behind me, a dark shape looming in the alleyway. Oh, hi! Yeah, they definitely improved the art in this game. This wasn't here before. The last time I played through the prologue, it was just his avatar that appeared here, not a full-blown piece of character art. Why is he so handsome? You're not supposed to be making me simp this early in the game, Muriel. It's too early for this. The form is certainly human, though enormous in size. No shit, Akari. Their flesh is scored with scars. Clean and jagged, shallow and deep. Shrouded in a pall of weather-beaten furs, it's hard to make out a face. But they're definitely watching me. They stand between me and the road to the palace. Walk past, or ask them to move. Listen, Muriel is a bit of an introvert. He'd rather not have his presence acknowledged, so I'ma just mind my own business and walk past. I take a step forward, watching the figure cautiously. Stormy green eyes follow my movements as I enter the alley, but the stranger makes no move. A voice like distant thunder rumbles from beneath their robes. You are in grave danger. The earthy scent of myrrh washes over me, and I stop in my tracks. He will return uninvited. He will offer you a gift when you need it most. Turn it away, or you will fall into his hand, just like the rest of us. I blink, trying to process what I had just heard. There is shuffling behind me, the dragging of rough cloth and chains, and then silence. I look up and down the foggy alley. I left the shop and then... Wasn't someone else here just now? I shake off the fading thought. I don't have time to dawdle. The Countess is expecting me. This is all gonna make sense in later installments, especially in Muriel's route, I promise. Exhaling deeply, I continue towards the narrow, mossy steps to the marketplace. It's early yet, and the marketplace is already wide awake. All around me are the sounds of bartering, laughter, vendors hawking their wares. A voice I know well calls out to me over the noise. Akari! Have you eaten? I've got that pumpkin loaf you like in the oven. Won't be long now. Come, sit down, talk for a while. I sniff the air and my stomach twists in hunger. Then again, I should be careful of the time. See, even though we're able to stay for bread if we wanted, it really doesn't add anything to the story. We're just informed of some gossip around town, that's it. The only thing it really does for the game is makes us late, and we spend less time with Nadia and less time discussing why we're being summoned to the palace. The pumpkin loaf is not worth it. I'm sorry, Mr. Baker, maybe another time. I decline the invitation with a friendly wave. The baker nods, ducking back inside his sweet-smelling booth. A raven perched overhead meets my gaze. Its fathomless eyes look beyond me, over my shoulder. I glance back, and my heart stutters in shock. Julian moves casually through the crowd without his mask. He doesn't seem to have spotted me. Honestly, if get away from him was reworded to something like ignore him or move along, I'd be more inclined to go with that rather than going after him. I'm going after him. Without a second thought, I go after him. But traffic is moving against me, and I don't want to make an obvious disturbance. He looks unguarded, surveying the market with leisurely interest. What is he doing, unmasked in broad daylight? Does he want to get caught? The wanted posters never came down. People around here must know his face. The raven shrieks again, and Julian turns around. Our eyes lock. I freeze in my tracks, pulse quickening. Suddenly, I feel a sharp pain as a wooden wheel rolls over my toes. A cart moves between us, blocking my view. When it has passed, he's gone. I stop, letting the herd of patrons weave around me. What am I doing? Why am I chasing after him, putting myself in danger? Shaking my head, I turn back to join the flow of traffic. As I climb the well-worn steps, something catches my eye. A fortune-teller's booth, tucked away in a shady corner. How nostalgic. Azra once operated out of a place just like it. As I'm lost in my musings, a patron emerges from the booth. Lucky numbers? Check. Groceries? I didn't notice them backing into me until we crash into each other. The impact makes me stumble, teetering on the edge of a step. It also upsets the basket balanced on the stranger's hip, sending a dozen pomegranates tumbling to the ground. Oh, perfect! As if I wasn't already late. Okay, if you ask me, if the options are ever help or start drama, why the hell would you start drama? It's not going to do anything for us except make the situation worse. Obviously, we're going to help because there's no use starting drama over a little bump in the marketplace. I drop into a crouch beside the stranger to help. I spot a pomegranate as it's about to be stomped under a stray hoof, and swipe it at the last second. When I hand it back to the stranger, their eyes sparkle with delight. Oh, thank you! How sweet of you to help! And after I bumped into you in the first place. Together, we hunt down the rest of the pomegranates. They're a little bruised, but no worse for wear. Well, I can't thank you enough. They offer me a hand. The skin of their small palm is rough against mine, calloused. Probably shouldn't do this, but... Rubbing it off on a sleeve, they offer me a fruit from the basket. When I accept it, the stranger gives me a smile that warms my chest. Take care, all right? I'll see you around. The stranger's eyes widen when they take a closer look at me. Wait! I know you! You're Akari, the magician. Countess Nadia said we were expecting you. You can call me Portia. I'm my lady's head servant. Oh! All the pieces click together. The pomegranates were for the palace. And Portia's name rings a bell. I think I've heard of her through gossip in the market. Well, how lucky are we? Come on, I'll show you the quickest path to the palace. As the sun journeys across the sky, Portia and I climb stair after seemingly infinite stair. The higher we ascend, the fewer travelers we encounter along the way. By the time we reach the top, I can barely walk, though Portia seems as energetic as ever. She pauses to let me catch my breath. Akari, I'm glad you're here. The Countess could use good help. And you look like the good sort to me. When we reach the palace, it's near dark. Before me is a towering gate of iron. Beyond that, the palace rises in a swirl of glittering spires. 2 guards stand on either side of the gate. Their eyes glint at me from behind their helmets. But they lower their weapons when they see Portia. Ludovico? Ludmilla? This is Akari. They'll be staying as our guest. Akari, Ludovico, and Ludmilla. This is definitely different. I seem to remember these guards trying to start some real beef with our MC. Like, they wouldn't let us pass, and Portia had to do some more coaxing on her part. I didn't even know these 2 guards had names, if that says anything. Names that I probably most definitely butchered to all hell. There's no way I'm tripping here, right? I'm not tripping. Like, I can't be the only one here, right? It's not just me. Because our beef with these guards is going to lead to another scene towards the end of the prologue, where we've got to chase them through a maze and have an encounter with Lucio. Is that not going to be a thing anymore? Is that not... I still hope it's in the game, because that was awesome. The guards nod at me, their stiff posture relaxing. In unison, they push open the heavy iron gate. After you, Akari. The gate slams shut behind me, and there's no turning back. Portia leads me across a long, steep bridge. Some kind of eel twists through the swirling waters below, glowing like a bloodless ghost. Portia tugs on my arm, leading me away from the edge of the bridge. Come on, we don't want to keep my lady waiting. As we approach the intricate doors, anxieties start to rise like bubbles coming to a boil within me. Is this wise? What awaits me in this fortress so far from home? Too soon, we're standing before the doors. Here we are. She swings her fist against the copper plating. 3 skull-rattling strikes. As the last echoes fade, the pendulous doors swing inward. Inside the palace, the floors, walls, and steep ceilings are all clean-cut, polished stone. A servant with a blue feathered cap comes sweeping up to us. With a deep bow, they pass me and dash to Portia's side. Chamberlain, how are we doing on time? Impeccable timing. The first course will be served shortly. Her ladyship has yet to descend. Portia heaves a sigh of relief and hands her fruit basket off to the bright-eyed servant. Perfect. Tell the kitchen that our guest has arrived. With a curtsy, the servant slips away, disappearing behind a panel in the wall, which slides seamlessly shut. I'll show you to the dining room. Her ladyship will be there soon. Dining? With the Countess? What? Don't tell me you thought we wouldn't feed you. She leads me to a fine mahogany door at the end of a cavernous hall, and she opens the door, leading me inside. I step into the dining room. Rich scents fill my lungs, unfamiliar and tantalizing. Before me is a long table, laid heavy with platters of the most careful delicacy. Portia pulls out a chair for me, and I sink into the plush seat. Now that the food is right in front of me, my hunger returns tenfold, but the Countess has yet to arrive. I look around the room and notice a strange painting on the wall across from me. The scene is that of a meal shared among a host of figures with the heads of beasts. The table is laden with small animals provided by a central character with the head of a goat. Rays of gold glitter around its head, and its red eyes are strikingly lifelike. Welcome, Akari. I see you're admiring the painting. My head whips towards the head of the table. Countess Nadia is taking her seat. Her lips curve into a placid smile when her eyes meet mine. Do you like it, Akari? The painting? I'm gonna be honest, I like the painting! Actually, Nix Hydra, if you're watching this and if you ever feel ambitious enough to do it, I'd love a full-size portrait of this painting. Framed. It might be a little niche, but I'd buy it off of their website in like a heartbeat. Yes. She drums her fingers along her cheekbone, watching me with idle interest. Oh? You have peculiar taste. I cannot say I much care for it. So why does it remain on the wall, you may ask? A servant appears at my side to place a bowl of yogurt and cucumber soup before me. Are we talking about like a bowl of yogurt and a bowl of cucumber soup? Are they separate? Please tell me they're separate. I bring it carefully to my mouth and drink. I don't think they're separate. Oh, it's a thing. It's a thing. That looks weirdly delicious. I don't know. Is it good soup? Is it good soup? Someone let me know in the comments if it's good soup if you've tried it. Sentimental value, I suppose. It was one of my husband's favorites. The Countess's husband. Count Lucio. As his name takes form in my mind, the goat figure before me becomes somehow familiar. Suddenly, its red eyes are so vivid that I can almost feel them returning my gaze. Beautiful red. Ah, yes, it is a beautiful red. I didn't realize I'd said the words out loud. Amusement shimmers in the Countess's brilliant eyes. The goat-headed one in the middle is Count Lucio, or it's supposed to be, providing for the people as he saw himself. He certainly knew how to entertain. My empty bowl is whisked away. In its place is a dish of flaky golden savories. I know how fondly the people of this city remember the Count's masquerade. Did you ever attend a masquerade, Akari? Our annual revelry in honor of my husband's birthday. A delight to all Vesuvia. It is a memory now tinged with bitterness. After Count Lucio was murdered at the last masquerade. I nearly choke. Mercifully, I catch myself. My pulse quickens nonetheless. Such a terrible shock to the guests. Such a vicious injustice upon this house. To slaughter the host while he celebrates, sharing his joy and prosperity with open doors. Nadia, is it just me, or do you just like hearing yourself talk? I try to focus on my food, but my eyes keep drifting back to the painting. Count Lucio's murder. The story is full of holes, muddied by wild rumors and unanswered questions, but the end is always the same. The Count retired to his chambers, and by midnight, he and his chambers were engulfed in flames. The culprit was captured on the spot, but before he could be brought to justice, he escaped. Ever since that day, guests to the palace have been very few indeed. I look away from the portrait just in time to meet the Countess's keen gaze. But now that you're here, now that I'm here, she says it with such gravity, such confidence. Countess, what does any of this have to do with me? Akari, the masquerade is precisely why I called you here. This year I intend to hold the masquerade once more. I stare at her. So does every servant in the room. How? Why? The festivities in Lucio's honor will be more fantastical than ever. There is but one loose end in need of tying. Count Lucio's murderer still roams free to this day. Dr. Julian Deverac, my husband's former physician. I sit very still, suddenly cold all over. Dr. Julian Deverac. Now I remember the name on the wanted posters. Now I know exactly who broke into my shop. I'm sorry. How do you forget something like that? You've seen his face on wanted posters all over town. Did you not even think to take 5 minutes to read through one of those posters to see why he was wanted, Akari? Akari, I know you're a little naive, but you're smarter than that. You've got more street smarts than that. Dr. Deverac confessed to the crime when we caught him. All that's left is a sentence. Execution by hanging. There's a terrible crash. Portia's face is stricken with horror. At her feet, the broken remains of our dessert are seeping into the floor. Portia? Forgive me, milady. Slippery hands. You're forgiven. 2 servants rush to her aid, sweeping away the shattered mess with wind-sprint speed. This is where you come in, Akari. Dr. Deverac has been very elusive, but you have quite the reputation. Rumor has it that you have surpassed even your master, Azra. I myself see the future in my dreams, whether I like it or not. And this is how I know you are the one who will find Dr. Deverek. Honestly, we already know what's going to happen to Julian if we catch him. A short drop and a sudden stop, as it goes. He's gonna be put to death. But what if we say no? We're already in the thick of it with Julian having broken into our shop and us spotting him in the marketplace. This situation is going to become a little awkward later on. And if I say no? The Countess sets down her glass, briefly pressing her fingers to her temples. Then I will ask you to reconsider. Perhaps you misunderstand me. I do not relish in executing the doctor, but justice must be served, not only for the Count, but for the city. And so, to commence the festivities, the doctor must die on a gallows for his terrible crime. Okay, that's it. I can't even pretend to take what Nadia is saying here seriously. I've played her route, I've gotten both endings, I've played Julian's route and gotten both endings. Minor spoilers for the game. Skip to this time if you want to avoid them completely and avoid the spoilers. But everything Nadia is saying to us right here is empty. She probably couldn't care less about finding Julian and executing him. It's been 3 years. 3 years! Julian is a slippery sucker, but if she really cared that much about getting justice for Lucio's murder, Julian would have already been executed by now. I'm done living this lie. The Countess rises. On instinct, I rise as well. Portia? Yes, my lady. Show Akari to the guest quarters. Right away, my lady. Portia pulls me to my feet and, with a humble bow, whisks me to the door. Portia is quiet as she ushers me down the hall towards my room. After a few turns, we pass a wide staircase veiled in shadow. A draft rushes down from the floor above, prickling my skin. It's cold and it smells of ash. Curled up on the bottom step are 2 large lanky dogs. Fathomless eyes fix upon me. They rise slowly, without a sound. Though they look like they could strike at any moment, I sense no ill intent. I hold out my hand and they approach to sniff it. Their huffing breaths tickle my skin, and their tails slowly start to wag. Well, this is bizarre. They never take kindly to strangers. It's just how they were trained, but I've never seen them act like this. Slim snouts brush up against my sides as the dogs investigate me further. Satisfied, they draw back, looking at me expectantly. Okay, so these 2 are actually Lucio's old hunting dogs, but they sort of double as guard dogs. Now, I know guard dogs. Like, real guard dogs. My aunt actually has one. He's a German Shepherd. And one thing that I cannot stress enough with guard dogs is don't push your luck. Guard dogs can be aggressive, and if they feel like you're pushing boundaries, they will snap at you, especially if they don't know you that well. So, speaking from experience, we're gonna give these 2 some space. There is something unsettling in their gaze. It reminds me of something. I take a careful step back, giving them plenty of space. The hounds trot dutifully back to their spot. They nearly blend into the marble, but their eyes remain fixed on me. Oh, no wonder they're like this. They haven't had their chamomile cakes. She looks nervously from me to the 2 dogs, still as statues. Wait here, Akari. And it's probably best to keep your distance from them. I'll be right back with those cakes. Portia swoops through a sliding panel in the wall. I'm left alone in the hallway with the dogs. I feel the bigger one sniff my side insistently. When I look down, it simply pulls back and stares. The smaller one is sniffing my other side, huffing samples of my scent. I whirl around, and it sits back on its haunches, watching me innocently. Cheeky. As I look into its one sanguine eye, an unsettling sensation ripples through my body like a wave of fever. A guest? I stepped back, gaze darting up and down the corridor. The voice was coming from the top of the stairs. I can only see so far into the hollow gloom, but there's no one there. I nearly jump when I feel yanking at my garments. The dogs. Their teeth are buried in my clothes, unrelenting as they drag me onto the stairs. I trip up the first few steps, and their tails start wagging. I try to wrench myself free, but the two dogs tug stubbornly. The dogs only let me go at the top of the stairs. The floor and the walls are frigid stone, and the air smells of ash. My head is spinning, and I hardly feel the chill in the air. Though my heart is hammering, I summon a weak glimmer of light in my palm. I look around for the dogs, but they're nowhere to be seen. There is a door ahead, partway open. Inside is a deeper darkness, swallowing the feeble rays of light. Our only options are enter the room or turn back. Like I said in the last installment of this series, horror movie logic. We're in a spooky-looking, seemingly abandoned wing of the palace. Weird voices, oppressive atmosphere. Anyone else would have turned back and avoided the creepy room. I'm going into the creepy room. The magic in my palm shrinks to a fluttering glow when I step through the doorway. Coming from the hall, it's warm inside. The thick air has a strong, peppery taste. Yeah, that seems accurate. This room looks like it tastes like pepper, to be honest. A heavily canopied bed stretches midway across the room. I pass in an extravagant suit of armor, a marble writing desk with a white peacock feather pen, all blanketed in ash. My light flickers over a portrait on the wall twice my height. Though it's hard to see, I have no doubt of the painting's subject. Count Lucio. He looks younger than I expected. Or the portrait is old. Or perhaps the artist was catering to his vanity. Yeah, one thing they don't tell you in the game. Most of the characters are quite a bit older than some of the people playing. I think the developers confirmed that Azra is around 26 to 28 years old. Nadia and Lucio are in their late 30s to early 40s. Muriel and Julian are in their 30s, and Portia is in her late 20s, early 30s. And Akari, it kind of fits the dynamic at 24, 25. And if all that information has thrown you off, I apologize. Okay, before I continue, I have to state that there are quite a few lines in this scene that I've had to, omit from this video, simply because I do not feel comfortable repeating them. I'm not gonna do it. Not gonna go there. It makes me feel icky. No way. A miasma of thick, scorching air pushes my hand towards the portrait, but I feel nothing but ash and canvas. There's a snickering inside my head as a haze settles over my mind. Nothing like the real thing. Seeing, unable to feel. Such sweet torture. Warmth like an ember radiates at the back of my neck. The magic in my palm reacts, its glow stretching past my fingers and down my wrist. The strange sensations subside, and the voice grows fainter, even wistful. Could you be? The haze vanishes from my mind. I reel back from the portrait. Something soft meets the back of my knees, and I fall through the folds of the dusty velvet onto the massive bed. Great plumes of ash billow around me when my back hits the bed covers. This is Count Lucio's bed, right where he was murdered. Incinerated. Then this fine ash in my eyes, in my nose and mouth and all over me, is what's left of him. And if any of you in the comment section make that joke about him being inside us, 50 points from Slytherin. It's too easy. I clap a hand over my mouth, smothering a scream as I struggle to stand. Going so soon? You're no fun. That voice. It echoes from every corner of the room and from within my mind. Who are you? The temperature drops, my hurried breaths turning into fine mist. I hear shifting in the ash and a weak cry unlike anything a human would make. Nobody. Nobody at all. An unseen breeze moves past me, tickling the trim of the canopy towards the portrait. Now this fine specimen of a man, he was somebody. The voice trails off. The room feels normal again. I scramble to my feet and make a break for the door. Breaking into a run, I continue down the hall, searching the vague darkness for any way out. The portraits on the walls watch me run with cold, aristocratic stares. Come back. Come back. Against all good sense, I stop and turn around. I only see it for a moment, a silhouette stark against a wall of high windows frosted with smoke. Claws, horns, and hooves like onyx. The white face of a goat with red eyes gleefully fixed on me. I blink, and it's gone. By the time I stumble down the stairs, disoriented, Portia is looking around corners for me. There you are! She stares at the fine, powdery ash coating me from head to toe. What? Why are you covered in ash? What did those naughty dogs do? To be fair, we were the ones that went into the room. Let's not place all the blame on the dogs here. She produces a plain white handkerchief and hands it to me. All I can muster is a dazed nod of thanks as I dust myself off. My mind feels fogged, struggling to make sense of the shadows I saw, the whispers I heard. Portia takes me gently by the elbow, helping me brush off the last of the ash. You know, I'm just gonna leave these cakes right here. Let's get you to bed. I follow at Portia's heels until we arrive at our destination. Thankfully, it isn't much further. She swings open the door with a sweeping gesture. These will be your quarters, Akari. You can put your things wherever you'd like. Breakfast is at sunrise. I'll wake you. My fatigue must be showing. I let my bag fall to the floor. Eyeing the smooth linens, I shudder with exhaustion. You look ready to drop. I'll leave you be. Sleep well, Akari. Her soft voice trails off, and she gently slides the door shut. At once, I burrow into the luxurious sheets. It feels as though I'm weightless. Heart thumping to the rhythm of Portia's ever-distant footfalls, I sink into unconsciousness. And that is where I will leave things off for this video. I know I skipped a few bits in that scene in the attic. Like I said, Lucio's ghost says some things in that scene that make me feel very icky, and for some reason, as far as I remember, he never does it again in any of the roots, giving him the reputation in this fandom of being a creepy bastard when he's not a creepy bastard. Greedy, prideful, selfish, and an absolute man-child, yes. But unless something happens in Muriel or Portia's route that I don't know about, or anything beyond Chapter 4 of Lucio's route, because that's when I cut myself off, his creepiness in the prologue is completely unnecessary. Anyways, that'll be all for this video, you guys. Thank you for watching. Hopefully, the next installment of the prologue will be the final installment. The last 2 chapters are a bit longer, though, so we'll see where this goes. The character poll is still up in my community tab for those who still want to vote on which character I romance first. It still likes Lucio is winning by a lot, so this should be fun. My name is BlueRaven666, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye!